So trap monsters never really have been meta, and there's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, the fact that they have to be treated as traps and monsters at the same time effectively reduces all of your field spaces to 5, plus pendulum zones and field spells, so 8 from 13. So you either have monsters or you have back row, but not really both, which is sort of a pain in the neck when you're trying to, protect your monsters, because your back row gets clogged full of them. Second of all, there are just so many floodgates that stop them. There's Royal Decree, there's Jinzo, Vanity's Fiend, Denko Sekka, Vanity's Emptiness. You get the idea. There's just tons and tons of things that stop. Third of all, they don't really seem to have a way of generating advantage by themselves. Until that is in Cross Souls when they got some new support. Now, surprisingly, they got 2 new cards, the first of which is pretty mediocre. It's called Abyssal Stungrey. You summon it as a level 5 Thunder monster with 1900 attack that can't be destroyed by battle, so it's not really that good. And then we have Earthen Spider Statue, which is sex on legs basically. It's so good. You summon it as a level 7 rock monster with 2500 defense. Pretty good already. And while this card is an effect monster and you control a trap monster that is a trap monster, it cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. Nice self-protection effect similar to Leo. And no MST there, so that's really nice. But the second effect of it is just so incredibly good that it makes me want to... While this card is an effect monster, if you summon a monster from your spell or trap card zone, then you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. It turns all of your trap monsters into morale attacks, all of them. There's no once per turn phrasing or anything, you just keep popping things. And this is probably the best thing that trap monsters could have ever wished for. It's so good. So yeah, with this in mind, I thought I'd make a deck profile for new support, because weirdly the TCG has more support for trap monsters than the OCG with Swamp Mirror and Quantum Cat. But anyway, I thought I'd try and make a deck out of these. So first up we got 3 Earthen Spider Statue for obvious reasons. It's just too good. And then 3 Tiki Soul, 1800 defense, 1000 attack, Rock Light. While this card is treated as an effect monster, when another trap monster you control is destroyed, instead of sending it to the graveyard, you set it in your spell and trap card zone instead, which works really well as Spider Statue for reusing its popping effect with like the other monsters. And it's nice if one of your monsters gets destroyed, rather than going to the graveyard, you just get to reuse it and summon it next turn. Really good. 3 Tiki Curse, 1800 attack, Dark Rock. While you control this monster, if it another trap monster you control battles an opponent's monster, destroy it after damage step. Really good. Well, not really good. Turns your monsters into sort of like, what is it, Heraldic Beast Basilisk. Turns your monsters into Heraldic Beast Basilisk basically, which is kind of nice. 3 Swamp Mirror, 1800 attack, normal monster. When you summon it, you declare a type and attribute. It becomes that type and attribute. Good for making attribute exclusive Xyzes, which is quite important, as you'll see in a minute. Quantum Cat, same effect as Swamp Mirror, except 2200 defense. It's just to get more of the attribute specific level 4s. 3 Zoma the Spirit. Zoma the Spirit is one of the OG Spirit cards. You summon it in defense, which is a pain because it's got 1800 attack and 400 defense, and all of the other ones sort of summon themselves in attack or defense. But yeah, anyway, when this card is destroyed by battle, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the monster that destroyed it. Very nice burn effect. Can be game ending if you ram it into a big monster, or it really discourages players from attacking into it. It's sort of like an aggressive magical cylinders. So this deck is sort of looking a bit like Volcanics with their popping and burning. Now we need is a drawing, which we'll move on to in a minute. Anyway. 2 Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi is quite good. It resets your trap monsters to summon again to get a pop off Earthen Spider Statue. Also gets rid of some of the floodgates like Denko Sekka and Jinzo by flipping the face down, so you can activate your traps again. You can make it easy to run over monsters if you need to. Also it's dark and level 4, which is kind of nice. You don't really need your normal summon very often in this deck, so being a spirit monster isn't really a disadvantage. But yeah, it's generally quite good. 3 effect veiler because you don't really have enough room normally for back rows, so you want something in your hand that can negate effects. You can also use Yuki Yuzaki if you want, which is from the new set. 3 card D for draw power because first turn, or you're just going to set 5 or set 4, then you can normal summon a card D, draw 2, which is nice. Pop Duality, because you're not always going to be special summoning, so it gets you some consistency to the deck, and it also lets you move through your deck faster. 3 MST, back row clearance, 1 Raigeki, front row clearance. 2 Jar of Aberration, another card from the new set. Target 5 cards in the graveyard. Shuffle them into the deck and draw a card. Nice recycling, because this is quite a grindy deck. Before, there wasn't really any way of recycling your trap monsters, so normally you just sort of, if you ran out of trap monsters you were screwed. But this sort of gives you a nice bit of recycling ability, can recycle anything apart from itself, and gives you a little bit of draw power. But It's sort of like Royal Firestone Guards in Volcanics, just for recycling and a bit of draw. One's on warning, one compulsion, one bottomless, stable traps. Fake Trap. If your opponent activates an effect that would destroy a trap card on the field, you can destroy this card instead. It's sort of protection for your trap monsters. It only works against effects that would destroy traps, not monsters. So while Imperial Custom would protect against things like Raigeki and Dark Hole, Fake Trap doesn't. But the reason I use Fake Trap rather than Imperial Custom is because Imperial Custom is a continuous trap. I know people be like crucifying me in the comments saying, why aren't you using Imperial Custom? The reason I don't use Imperial Custom is because if I have an Imperial Custom, it cuts down my back row to 4, which means I can have a maximum of 4 trap monsters, which slows me down immensely and clogs up the back row, which I don't want. And also, a lot of the time I exceed, so Imperial Custom doesn't really help protect my exceeders, so Plus, Tiki Soul protects my other monsters, and Statue protects itself, so I'm not really too worried about using Imperial Custom. I've got 3 fake traps in case I need to protect stuff. That's why I don't run Imperial Custom. Before you start asking, I should really say this at the beginning. Anyway. 2 Bujinte Tsukiyomi. Requires 2 light monsters, but that's why you run the 5 attribute changing trap monsters and 3 Tiki Souls, so that's 8 monsters that can be used to summon it. As I say, so good. It can cycle through your deck more quickly, which is really nice because you normally get a plus off it, because if you overlay 2 trap monsters out into it, then you're going to have 2 free back row spaces that you previously did not have. So you can set whatever you have in your hand, so you have 1 card left normally, and discard it, draw 2, so you get a plus, you move through your deck faster, nice draw power, you can get rid of dead cards that you don't need, replace them for better ones. So good. People really underestimate this card, but I think it's amazing. It's also a decent wall with 2300 defense. But yeah, as I say, really good. 1 Master Key Beetle requires 2 darks. You've got 8 ones that start as dark, and you've got another 5 that's can be changed to dark, so that's 13 monsters that can be used to summon Master Key Beetle. Master Key Beetle can protect your traps, so you can protect your Earthen Spider statue if you want to protect it even more, which is really nice. Normally you'd use it to protect Tiki Soul, so Tiki Soul can protect the rest of your trap monsters, but you have the option there, and it's also a 2500 attack beat stick, which is really good. 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare, one other thing that requires 2 darks. Its effect is when your opponent special summon a monster or monsters, you can flip those monsters face down, so it's non-targeting disruption, which can slow your opponent down, which is nice because this deck is quite slow, but slowing your opponent down sort of gets you back to the same seed as them. Bistrella for Graveyard Disruption. Castell, 2 Castell this time. Castell is obviously for shuffling things back into the deck. Also, it can reset your trap monsters to use again with Earthen Spider statue, with its Book of Moon effect, which a lot of people forget it has. That's why I run 2, because it's got dual use in the deck. Dark Xyz Rebellion Dragon to run over big monsters. Dire and Direwolf can pop itself. Well, you can use it with Swamp Mirror or Quantum Cat just to get some pops down, so it's like a scrap dragon. Giant Hand, obviously this isn't really designed for like real world use. Nice bit of negation because, as I say, you don't really have room in the back row for negation stuff. Ken Gorgon. Ken Gorgon in the deck is actually really quite good. I know a lot of people are a bit like about it, but this deck is sort of very vulnerable to MST. If you have a Ken Gorgon, it sort of changes the target. You can get rid of your opponent's back row with their MSTs, which is nice, or you can change the MST target to something which you don't really want as much as what's being targeted. So it's a nice bit of protection for the deck. And it also protects against other targeting effects. Ragnar Zero, it's good against Yusenju, Cliff Forts, things like that. And it gets a nice bit of draw power and a bit of field disruption. Rhapsodian Berserk for Graveyard Disruption. Armades, because you can summon it with a trap monster and Veiler if you want to. So if you're against something that has a lot of float effects like Yangzings or Shadows or BA, then you can get rid of the floating effects, which is nice. And then finally, 1 Catasta. Catasta is here for non-target destruction. A lot of people stop using Catasta because they don't think it's very good anymore. I think it's alright, but if your opponent has like a Leo, then you can just attack into the Leo with Catasta and destroy it targeting. So that's why I run it. Anyway, this is the deck, guys. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you did, please like, favourite, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you later.